Mug Thief did a video from a month ago. Only has 3K views on it, so I'm hoping to give it a little bit more visibility. It says, how good is the new player experience for Black Desert Online? And this is honestly something that, like, the new player experience for any MMO is what draws players in. If your new player experience is good or isn't good, it doesn't matter how good the rest of your game is, people quit before they get there. So, like, this is very fundamentally important that people are taking our new player experience well in BDO.
Recently, Black Desert Online has been having a bit of a resurgence. Despite being a 9-year-old game, for some reason people are deciding
it is 9 years old because it came out 2 years in Korea before it came out with us.
To play it. I noticed this when I saw it pop up on the Steam top sellers list. Shortly after, I started to see some YouTube videos pop up about it, and it turns out that the game recently released a big expansion called Land of the Morning Light. This expansion seems to address a lot of the complaints that players have about the game, and it also claims to streamline the new player experience. And while all of that sounds great, I still had one key question that nobody seemed to answer. Is Black Desert Online good? And so, like the fool I am, I decided I was going to answer that question for myself. Lucky for me, at some point in time, I already bought the game, so I had it ready and available on Steam and...
Oh, I already bought this. Go me. Oh, I already have these. That's how old it was.
Decided to install it. And there's two main questions that I'm looking for answers to. Is the new player...
How was Node War tonight? It was great because I didn't have to actually do anything. It was this night.
Experience in Black Desert Online, or BDO as the cool kids call it, good? And secondly, is the game...
Me to my Steam library? Exactly that. True.
Game itself any good? However, before starting this experiment, I needed to set some ground rules. First off, I'm going to...
When you get a second, can you explain this clip? Absolutely. Let me just bang this out. They're gonna come in your ass if you don't get in. We're playing boner tag. Do not let them get in your ass. Do not let them get in your ass. Get all the way in. Okay, so in boner tag, I will use visual aids very carefully. Okay, so this is one person. These are his arms, to be clear. Okay, and then this is another person here. Okay, chasing the first person. Okay, so like if you're chasing them, you need to understand that your ass will just, okay, is this way. And you need to understand which part of him would be facing you if you were running from him. Okay, so the idea is that you clench your cheeks together and run fast enough that he can't catch up and place things there. Does that make sense? Okay. Man, we were dancing around that TOS line today.
Try and avoid any resources that a casual MMO player wouldn't pick up on. So I'm going to be limiting how much time I dedicate to reading up on the game or...
Okay, so I love this. He's taking just a raw... This is so good. This take is so good. He's not trying to do he's trying to avoid any sort of research that would help him figure out the game, like outside of just playing it and try to stumble through things. This is really good.
Or tutorials or guides. I will be watching the marketing material in advance and pretending that that's the reason that I got interested in it. I'm going to put a hard limit on the time I spend on the game at 20 hours.
All right, predictions. Where does he get in 20 hours, right? This is a trial, but like I think that he probably gets to level 61, right?
I think that 20...
You say 20 hours, Lamau, but like seriously, for a new player, like they're going to decide in the first 10 to 20 hours whether or not they're going to play the game, right? So I think that's a fair, I that's fair.
20 hours is more than enough to make a decision on if the new player experience is good or not. Sorry to spoil some stuff, but it's going to be more than 20 hours. This goes places. Just you...
We got him, boys.
Wait, with the rules in place, come with me to discover the world of Black Desert Online.
We got him, boys.
I really do have the worst
Reel him in!
Unsurprisingly, the first step to my journey was deciding on a
the thickest
class.
Character. Picking your class.
Come to understand later, character classes
just pick the Dark Knight and move on.
Have a specialization.
Mystic is also a good choice. Big fan. Leg guy.
Choice. You can either continue with the base class as it is to make it stronger,
is actually sick.
or choose an awakening, which changes
Yo, this footage is sick. I've never seen this before.
That you use. I had no idea about this or about awakening classes when I started playing the game. I just looked at the immense list of classes. I'm not sure that's supposed to look like that, but okay. Did a little bit of YouTubing of different classes as gameplay, and most importantly, tried some out for myself, since you can create training characters which are already level 60 and have access to awakening, something that, again, I didn't even know what it was. I like it. Feels so weighty.
That's because it sucks.
That's awesome. After
all right. Hey, people like different things.
After testing some different classes, I really wanted to focus on trying to play something that was more unique than things I had played in other MMOs. My recent experience with MMOs has been about 1,200 hours of Final Fantasy XIV,
holy shit,
600 hours of Lost Ark, and about 100 hours of New World. And while not being the
that checks out.
Most unique, I also
the New World's getting a big expansion. I don't know if you guys heard about it. That I might go play some a little bit.
Decided that it was a good
ride a dire wolf around
idea to play the Megu, which is one of the 2 new classes introduced recently into BDO, which is
Get rid of those eyes.
Spirit caster that, if you've played League of Legends, then it's basically Ahri.
You certainly have my undivided attention then.
So I jumped into the character creator. It was way too overwhelming for me. As a quick note to how Korean this game feels.
Do it. Turn the character to the side and do what you're gonna do, man.
Having gender-locked classes right out of the gate gave me PTSD from people complaining about Lost Ark. So in the end, I didn't touch basically anything.
He minned his boob slider? We're just different people.
And I decided to look for the stupidest name possible for my character, and I ended up with Constant Striking. And her...
That's it? That's the stupidest name you could come up with?
Family name, of course. Fam Be Lit. And our 20-hour timer starts now. Immediately, I was thrown into the deep end. Out somewhere in the middle of a desert, talking to somebody, saying a lot of strange names that are probably important to some lore.
That is the colossal weapon of ancient Kabur, the Ator.
Family name saves it.
All these things mean. They gave me some typical spiel about me being the chosen one, and then some very basic, albeit not very good tutorializing.
Well edited.
One of the stranger choices included me fighting all of these enemies, which were marked as elite, but had 1 HP, and then running out to talk to...
I wonder, without external sources, how long it took him to lock evasion roll.
An orb. Once this brief introduction is done, the game gives you a choice. Do
like,
you
to
want
be honest,
start from the origin point?
Like, it's not until you actually talk to a human being that somebody's like, oh, dude, you gotta lock that. Stop embarrassing yourself.
Point of the release of Black Desert Online.
It's
would you
still
like
unlocked.
to go to the first expansion, or would you like to go to this most recent expansion?
No, it's either Mountain of Eternal Winter or Land of the Morning Light, to be honest with you.
As per the rules of this video, I decided to listen to the marketing materials, specifically this video by IGN, which is presented by Black Desert Online, so an advertisement, where they say that this expansion was designed with the intention that new players could start from it.
Potential new players don't have to play catch-up before starting the Land of the Morning Light expansion.
Yeah, they need to do a better job, like, recommending it to you at this screen here.
And then running out to start
right here. This needs to be like bold, underline, highlight, like use this one. You know what I mean? Like this, it just has this little bookmark tab. Get the fuck out of here with that shit.
For veteran players. Also, while we're at it, 55,000 views and 237 likes. Oh boy. I pressed on and ignored the sinking feeling I had that maybe I had been bamboozled by marketing into wasting my time. But we were already here, and we might as well jump into the Land of the Morning Light. The game gives you the option of remembering your past adventures through your companion, the Black Spirit, which is this little black mochi.
We still don't know why he's here.
And it brought me to this image gallery explaining things that I don't think causes a very good first impression for new players. The presentation of this is god-awful. Like, these low-quality still images. And
it's really bad. It's really fucking bad. That's a fair complaint. This is fucking terrible.
I still get notifications at the top of my screen.
Yeah, like what the fuck is that, dude? This is why notifications need to be turned off from minute 1. When a new player spawns in, all of this shit should be off. They should choose whether or not they need to turn it on again, right? Like, oh, okay, yeah, I want to see this stuff. Okay, well, then you can turn that on in the settings. But 99% of players turn this off immediately, and it just looks like garbage.
I was already feeling a little bit disconnected with the story with the way that it started off. But then after time skipping and now having to put myself in the shoes of somebody that went through all of these adventures and understands things, made it even harder for me to connect. Once that is done, you are forced
my boy Janice
to interact with different things in your environment and learn how to call upon your Black Spirit companion, which you're going to have to do time and time again to start quest lines. I did find it refreshing that to interact with things I had to constantly press R instead of G. So, you know, at least my hand position was a little different on the keyboard compared to Lost Ark. From here, the general experience will be going into a cutscene and then an extended sequence where you press R to interact with a lot of things into another cutscene. The game quickly introduces you to the auto path feature, which allows you to press T to immediately go to your next assigned objective without you having to touch.
I love how quickly he's hitting R. It's like it's programmed into you. This guy's not done any research on the game at all. This is at 300% speed, in fairness, but like he is hitting that R key so fast, he cannot possibly be listening to what they're saying.
Touch anything. This feature works sometimes, and other times will get you stuck on the middle of the road, so if you were intending to use it to get up and grab a drink or go to the bathroom, maybe it'll work, who knows?
It will work, you just have to know how Google Maps works.
Another thing the game gives you might be related to the seasonal server.
He already has questing figured out, that's exactly right.
Which is where I'm playing. And if you're asking yourself, why did you start on a seasonal server? It's because it was at the top of the server list and the only server listed as novice, which
Okay, that's a good... See, I like this video because it gives you an honest take of what a brand new player is going to experience. Like, what server should I join? All of this stuff, right? He didn't do any, like, he didn't look up any guides or anything, like, that would, like, dilute his knowledge pool. So you can see very quickly what new players are struggling with. Okay, well, at least they understand, all right, I should probably pick a season server. He doesn't know why he should pick a season server, though, and that's a problem. They should explain that to you very clearly. All right, so you need to, like, God, I hope the developers watch this, man. You've got to make it clear that they've got to pick season servers. Oh, but they're highlighted. Not enough.
I think qualifies as what a normal person would do is go to the novice server and not realize that the seasonal server is the one that gives you very, very accelerated experience gain.
See, like that's exactly my point, dude. Like you got to make it clear.
Whether it be the server or the game itself, after completing certain quests, you will get a 50% speed boost. So you are zooming across the map all of the time, way faster than you can go with a mount.
Going? So where are you going right now? You follow the auto path. Do not deviate from the path. You hit T and you let it run.
Just in case I'm not painting a clear picture here, you are going to be spending a long time.
You let Jesus take the keyboard,
speaking to people, and sometimes watching a cutscene. That is why I do appreciate that absolutely everything that I encountered was voiced.
Thank God. That was my biggest problem with the game when I started like 6 years ago, is that nothing was voice acted, and we don't read. Okay? As Americans, none of us were like ever actually hooked on phonics. Okay? Let's get that out there. All right.
Quality of that voice work ranged from people putting in their 100% absolute best to some characters kind of phoning it in, some strange choices on accents, like your main companion Dulceway having this southern twang to him.
Okay, we'll be heading back to Dalville. We're exhausted.
And of course, the dialogue itself did range from pretty funny and kind of quirky to just very cringy and not consistent at all.
Plug your ears
True.
when you hammer, or you won't be able to hear anything at all, Meal.
But at least the production was there to put in that voice acting for everything. You just wanted to enjoy it. At some point, I did start skipping a grand majority of the dialogue, and I did stop again if I thought that a particular questline was interesting. But it did truly become the Lost Ark experience.
Like, dude, it's weird that I'm like, oh shit, he saw it. You know what I mean? This is like when you're when you're trying to show your parents your room for the weekend so that you don't get grounded. You know what I mean? And all of the shit is really just like shoved under your fucking bed and you just hope that they don't see it. You know what I mean? But there was like a sock laying out and your mom was like, what the fuck is that? You know, I'm like, don't see the rest of it. Don't see the rest of it. Don't see the rest of it. Don't see the rest of it.
Just press G a lot, but this time it's R. I really can't stress that enough, that there will be a lot of skipping dialogue if what you're looking for is to get to the gameplay. I also don't know how this would shake out if you're starting a...
Yeah, I've said this many times, but the biggest problem with the main storyline is that it's just not engaging, dude. The reason that people are skipping it is because we're not emotionally invested into anything that's happening on the screen. You know what I mean? WoW has just like, all kings' reign must come to an end, my son. You know what I mean? You're like, oh my god, like you're like crying. Final Fantasy has you glued to the computer screen the whole time because you're emotionally invested. You ain't skipping shit. You don't even know if it's skippable. But in BDO, you know if it's skippable.
Second character that skips to this area. You can't have another seasonal character as far as I know, but you can...
Hot take, Mountain storyline is better than Land of the Morning Light. That's probably true. But don't let anybody hear you say that. I agree with you. But don't let them hear you.
Have another normal character that starts off at the Land of the Morning Light, and you cannot skip the cutscenes. You can, some of them, five times...
I told you, dude. Of course, you're like, can I skip this shit? This is garbage. In Final Fantasy, dude.
Speed of them, and others you just can't.
You are not doing this in Final Fantasy.
Some of the dumbest things that you can experience in this game are in those unskippable cutscenes. Let me show you a clip of one of them because I just couldn't believe my ears and my eyes, and I couldn't. It generally made me question too many things.
Sick or standing tall and proud.
Oh, I knew he was. No! Damn it, dude! I knew he was gonna show this scene. No one has any idea what's going on in this scene. Ah, shit. This one is garbage. This is like the worst like cutscene in the entire Land of the Morning Light. You have no idea. Biddy Bop, the Biddy Bop quest line, or like this quest is horrendous. You have no idea what is happening.
A shiver, we all bow down and down. But wait, what's that? What's that sound? A slice at who stole the bet? I go, oh my, oh, what do we do? Oh, what do we do?
How did you all make it through this? As new players, I honestly, rewatching this scene makes me think that they should have just done Ancient Stone Chamber. They have a higher chance of staying with the game. How did you guys make it? You guys are heroes. No audio. Fair enough.
The dog gave me well, boo-hoo, boo-hoo,
yeah. I love how all the people saying no audio are all first-time chatters. That's how you know it's real and based right there. That is how you know it's real right there. They're all brand new fucking players.
But anyways, let's get down to the meat and potatoes of what is going to happen during your playthrough of the Land of the Morning Light. You will be playing through a series of quest lines that advertise having the innovative system of branching paths. They always have the same exact system. You start a quest line somewhere, normally involving your companion Dulceway. You then talk to a lot of people. Somebody sends you out to kill some things, to collect stuff. Normally, you have to kill 10 deer or 10 boar or something like that. Once you progress the questline, you will face a boss, sometimes preceded by smaller enemies, and sometimes just directly the boss.
Holy shit. This is like legitimately the most honest and based take of the Land of the Morning Light questline I have ever heard. He's butchering the shit out of it, but rightfully so. Like, everybody, Land of the Morning Light came out and everyone was like, oh my god, it's such a good quest line, it's so good, oh, it's amazing and everything. But it was only so good if you were a veteran player. Right? If you were a veteran player, this compared to everything we had before, yeah, it's way better. But this is a brand new player, you're like, this is garbage. Right? We're still not there. We're still not there.
Get this boss down to about 20.
I've watched so many of your videos and you... I've watched so many videos of you please scream. Honestly, if you just stick around long enough, you'll hear me say it.
To 30% of their HP, and a cutscene will interrupt the fight. You will then go back to one of the main quest givers. You will then make a decision on either solving the conflict peacefully or solving it violently. It does not matter which one you choose. You will then refight the boss. The only thing the previous decision affects is if they will be alive.
He found the sock, boys. Oh, he knows. Every other guide that I've seen on this stuff, it's like, it's really cool because you can like choose which way you go and you feel like you have meaningful progression. And all the veteran players are like, all of the fucking paths lead to the same place. It really doesn't fucking matter what you do. He knows. He knows. I was just returning to the game after a week or two after learning the morning light drop and did my seasonal start there. It was miserable. Oh no.
After you fight them or not. And during that second refight, which has the same exact cutscene to introduce the boss, by the way, the quest will resolve and now you can start another quest line that will fall into the same exact pattern. I do not know if it's because of the seasonal server. I would like to believe so, but all of these bosses are so incredibly easy that you cannot even see their mechanics, but they do have mechanics. It is a...
Yeah, okay, all right. That's a fair complaint, but also he just doesn't know that like those bosses get harder with the little thing.
A real shame.
It's meant to be easy.
Because I kept thinking as I played through these sequences that if these boss encounters were, you know, 5-10 minutes long, you get to see all of the mechanics, you have to form a strategy and get into a rhythm of your ability.
Yeah, honestly, that would probably be cooler. Instead of just constantly making it so easy a caveman could do it, you make it actually like reasonably difficult that you have to like learn a little bit about your class or the mechanic to actually get it done. It's good teaching.
Rotation and how you use everything and actually forced you to use all of your abilities well.
My wife just started the game. She asked which place to start at. I said the one on the left, so she's in Land of the Morning Light. You know which one's left? Because when you hold you can make an L with your left hand. That's my trick.
To use all of your abilities well, it would be really fun because of course the highlight of Black Desert Online is its combat. But at least in my playthrough, until you reach the very end of it, you won't really get any satisfying combat experiences. But before we continue, I
don't want to insult the man's wife. Just show her the trick. That's how you make that's how you know which one's left.
I think it's fair that I give a more overall review.
Maybe she thought stage left
of this experience. Starting out at the expansion and leveling from there was an absolute slog. There was really nothing fun about it. There was nothing entertaining to it. It felt like a waste of time. Every single one of the quests feels like...
What up, Ellie? How you doing, sister? Hello? I did it.
Like a stereotypical fetch quest, the one that you see people criticize as an easy joke with MMO quest design. I think that my biggest complaint about it is that for something that marketing materials themselves tout as a good way to start the game, you don't interact with any of the systems in the game at all. You don't farm, you don't gear, you don't do anything related to life skills.
There it is! What a fucking based take that is. What is it? That is so based. Fuck yeah, I love this guy. This is such a good video. Yes! Bro, these questions introduce you to the systems of the game while making you emotionally invested in the story that the game is telling. The quest line does none of that. You hold T, you press R repeatedly, followed by holding T some more.
To ever get stuck on and say, oh, I want to farm this, I want to get this gear, I think this would be fun to do. There's no dungeons, there's no reason to group with anybody ever, and whenever there is
we all love
gameplay,
Ellie.
it is just so incredibly easy that there is no reason to have your brain on. The only thing...
Whoa, whoa, he's thinking this. Did you see what he just did there? Turn your brain off. Stop trying to think.
Incredibly
Look,
easy.
he stops and he questions. He actually questions for a moment the J
That
but
there
have
is
pathed
no-
him in a way that is literally not the most optimal way to reach your location. Do not question it. Just press T and let Jesus take the keyboard.
reason to have your brain on. The only things that can save this experience is if you were invested in the story. It is true that at least that has production value. You have the voice acting.
Breath
Some of
EXP,
the
that's right.
cutscenes can be very funny, I guess, if you want to count that as a positive. But everything else feels like you're being railroaded down into reaching level 56. But once you get there, you know absolutely nothing about the game. And the
True.
UI, which has disappeared from this video since after a while I went back to borderless full screen, so all of my UI went to the sides of the ultra wide display I use, is a constant reminder that this game has 17 million mechanics more that you are not exploring and you do not understand. Thankfully, once you do finish the main story, you are sent back to the mainland. Once you reach the port of Altanova, the game will guide you towards your succession and awakening quest lines. The moment that you start doing normal quests in the mainland, specifically the quest that the game...
Oh no. Oh no. He's like, wait, I thought the questing before was garbage. And then he got to Altanova. Tragic. Fucking tragic.
Wants you to do, which are higher level 56 quests, you will notice that you do 0 damage to everything. You cannot play the game, and that is where you're forced to gear up. Of course, to do this I had to Google, and by Googling BDO gearing I got a lot of outdated guides and then a little bit more of an updated one.
Was it Cade? Just be honest. Potion shop?
The game gives you all of the materials to gear up that level 56 equipment. It gives you beginner blackstones, which are a currency you can use to enhance things much like you can in a game like All-Star. You do this through the Black Spirit, so you can do it anywhere. You open it up, and then you click Enhance. You consume the currency, and sometimes you get a successful enhancement, and sometimes you don't. What you will realize relatively quickly is that at a certain point, failing an enhancement also brings the level of that item down. And that will cost you...
You're shitting me right now. This dude's sitting on Duo Naru gear. Bro, there's no hope. There's no hope. If you couldn't get your Naru to pen, you need to just go back to Final Fantasy.
Failing an enhancement also brings the level of that item down. And that will cost you the total durability of the weapon. So you need a continuous string of luck, but you can also have...
He's a new player. He didn't know. If you click... Are you kidding me? I could put a primate in front of the computer and have it get to pen Naru. Okay? You just click it until it stops being able to click it anymore.
Have a continuous streak of ranking it down, and all the while that's still costing you materials or money. And I even encountered...
No, you couldn't. I managed to make it work.
Using those beginner blackstones that I couldn't max out some of my
defense
items
rests,
because
Your
I just
Honor.
kept ranking them down. I kept going from 4 to 1 when I needed to reach 5. If I were doing this with materials that took me months to farm and that there is potential monetization behind it, man, I really wouldn't put that much effort into a game with...
You should stop playing. This is not for you. There is no shot. My man got frustrated with Naru. Just move on. But it does highlight the fact that we don't walk people through the enhancing system like well enough.
This sort of mechanics. I would much rather prefer that you start at an incredibly low percentage and every time you fail you get a little bump for the next try.
Never mind. We're back in. That's exactly how this game works. Welcome back. Welcome back.
That at least feels like you have a guarantee. There's always going to be a way.
Guaranteed. That's absolutely right.
Even if it takes years that you reach that level. But with a system like this that is essentially gambling, it feels like I could be stuck in a loop.
Okay, so What he doesn't realize is that the fail stack system that he's currently, and this is a fundamental problem with new players. Yes, he looks kind of silly saying that my enhancement rate doesn't actually go up when I fail, when he's literally enhancing Naru and your enhancement rate actually does go up when you fail. That being said, it just highlights the fact that the game doesn't walk new players through the enhancement system well enough that they actually understand that. Right? It's not his fault.
Forever. But for now, it doesn't affect me.
Can you turn off screen shake? You realize this is not my gameplay.
So I kept playing towards my awakening quest. Now, at this point, the quests that I was being sent on were actually fun. They did require a lot of running around for an extended amount.
Back up. You did the entirety of Land of the Morning Light. And then you got to Medaya. And you said, this is where the fun begins. Like you're fucking Anakin Skywalker. He also has a min boob slider on. So fundamentally, we are just different people.
Amount of time, but once you get there, it was basically kill 30 things, and the combat was actually fun and required me to think about my gear and my cooldowns and have potions because the enemies were actually dangerous. I also had to think about kiting because this specific class, the Megu, is very good at AoE, so I wanted to group up the enemies to take them all down at once. It was overall enjoyable. After you finish this quest line with some boss fights that are, again, actually fun, you get your awakening. In the case of the Megu, that is that you get
Okay, he's talking about the awakening in succession quest line. All right, it's still garbage. Every time you do an awakening in succession quest line, you get to the end and you're like, you again? No! Alezra? It was the whole time? Oh my god! The fuck out of here.
A fan, and now you have some close quarters, more focused attacks to deal damage, and you can take out your awakening weapon by pressing the C key. So you have access to multiple of your skills, your normal skills, and also your awakening skills at the same time. This is all real fun. I liked it, but it took me like 8 hours to get here, and a lot of confusion.
Well, 8 hours is actually pretty good. He was on the speedrun.
And all I felt was that
she's
the
hot as fuck for real, though.
of
True.
what was expected of me from here on
Boob
out,
slider.
with all of the other mechanics that I would have to learn, and how I would start questing, and daily quests, and weekly quests, and how to get all of my materials to start progressing into this endgame was not something I wanted to do. It all felt intimidating because I just didn't know enough about the game at this point, and the whole world was open to me while I was already at my awakening. It's a very strange feeling.
Yeah, so like that's a draw for some players, but I'll be honest, like and I know that the developers are really nervous to like move it away from a sandbox MMO. They don't want to be too much theme park MMO, so they don't want to show people how to do stuff. They want people to have to figure it out, all this stuff. But there is a certain point where like you need to show them like the basic mechanics of fundamentals in the game. Introduce them to life skilling a little bit. Let them have Tuvala life skilling gear that's like Duo Manos or some shit, or Tet Logia or some, I don't know, some crap. You know, introduce them to those systems. Introduce them to the enhancing tutorial, like an actual tutorial that you don't have to read.
Of just not wanting to play the game anymore. Even when it finally became fun, I just didn't want to keep playing. Now, despite the many flaws that I had encountered up to this point in Black Desert, I didn't just want to say, well, this is it, I didn't like it that much, goodbye. Because I really did suspect that the game itself and the combat in it is so good that the core mechanics must be enough to keep a lot of people engaged and playing in this game. And all of the classes seem so unique and fun to play that I can understand why people would continue to roll alts and just keep playing this game over and over. But my initial experience was so terrible that maybe that was colored.
That is the big hurdle. Can you get past the biap?
My opinion. So, because as I said before, I only have terrible ideas, I decided to start again, but on a non-seasonal.
You are shitting me. It was so bad.
Server.
Fuck this, we're going
back. From the very
back.
start of the game instead of the expansion. I rolled a new character. I chose a Nova, which is what you saw at the very beginning of this video, that uses the mace and shield, and who's awake.
Wait, he did it on a non-seasonal? I thought he said seasonal. The game's best feature is its combat, and you almost do none of it as a new player. Big true. While being flooded with items you have no idea what to do with. Yeah, they went the wrong direction with bosses, right? They went completely the wrong direction with bosses. Bosses in the main storyline should have gotten harder to force you to learn your class, like at least a little bit. You know what I mean? Like challenge you a little bit. Get engaged in that combat. You know, show a little bit of that depth. You know what I'm saying? Instead of being, I too saw it, and then I went to the next red-nosed boss.
So, because as I said before, I only have terrible ideas, I decided to start again, but on a non-seasonal server from the very start of the game instead of the expansion. I rolled a new character. I chose a...
Oh, this can only end well. Oh yeah, no seasonal.
Nova, which is what you saw at the very beginning of this video, that uses the mace and shield, and whose awakening allows her to transition to a very fast-paced...
You're not getting there.
Rapier character. I appropriately named her I Don't Block, and set on my second leg of this journey to see where was the crucial mistake
and he
in
chose
the new player
Nova
experience within Black Desert Online. Before we do that though, I would like to remind you that if you're enjoying this video, hitting the like button is greatly appreciated, and if you want to see more things like this in the future, the best way to do it is to subscribe.
That kind of advertisement works, man.
Subscribe. On with the video. I was very surprised to find out that the general experience
What's wrong with Nova? How much time do you have?
From the beginning was much better going from the very start of the game than starting at the expansion. I'm talking night and day. Now, it wasn't...
What's wrong with Nova? There's nothing wrong with Nova. She's wearing too much clothing. I'm more of a lawn enjoyer.
Perfect. The production values were a little lower. Some of the quest design was equally archaic, but it was a much more fun experience, and it also pushed me to learn a lot of other things that were much better paced in this version of the game than starting at the expansion. I was very afraid that it was going to be absolutely terrible, considering...
What the fuck, dude? I don't understand new players at all. I really don't. So he actually enjoyed the Ancient Stone Chamber quest more.
That many of the quests at the expansion were all centered around defeating...
Yeah, I mean, his takes so far have been so based. I have to think that, yeah, this is just better than...
Very low numbers of very basic mobs, and even just slaughtering wildlife, you know, the typical 10 deer or 10 boar, that this would just be that, but for 20 hours. But right from the start, the game really pushes you into a very different loop where you are accepting quests and then they will send you to kill 25 of a thing or 50 of a thing or even 100 of a thing.
How is that any different than what you were doing in the previous quest?
And those grinding sessions really teach you what this game is about. It's about learning your character, learning all of your cooldowns and how they interact, and fighting a bunch.
That's true, Miles. That's because Land of the Morning Light is minimal combat and people play the game mostly for combat. Like, bro, this is a simple fix. Make the bosses in the quest line harder. Hard. Make them learn the mechanic or get like 3-shot. You know what I mean?
Of things efficiently.
Then they get to learn this stuff.
Important distinction
in an engaging way.
During the expansion, everything was so incredibly easy that you didn't have time to learn your cooldowns or your combos or anything, and you didn't even need them. If you can eliminate everything with simply one cooldown, there's no need to learn a combo. You just spam a cooldown at random and everything dies. During this, I actually had that opportunity to explore all of my abilities and find out how they worked. I also appreciated that during the main quest line, you had multiple crossroads option, and there was a quite critical one that led you down a very big quest path where you could choose between 3 and the one in the...
See, this time he didn't discover it. See, last time he saw what was underneath the bed, and then his mom, and then he got grounded. Right? Like, he tried to shove everything under the bed, and then his mom saw it, and he got grounded. This time, okay? So last time he realized that, wait a minute, hold on. It doesn't matter which quest I choose. They all end at the same point. And this time, he doesn't know. He has no idea that they are exactly the same.
the middle was this path focuses on combat. All of the quests down this path will lead you to kill a bunch of stuff. And another one was more story focused, and another one was kind of more of a strange third option. And I chose the combat one, and that's what I got, and I was very happy. I came to a conclusion.
Best part of this whole storyline is jumping off the tower with like the no fall damage.
My opinions on Black Desert.
I don't know why it's so satisfying, but I really enjoy it.
Line, which is this game is.
And then he didn't even do it, bro. He took like the
Warriors if it had more in-depth mechanics and was closer to Devil May Cry than the systems that you find in a Dynasty Warriors type of game. And I absolutely love that. I've always wanted a video game that was basically Dynasty Warriors.
This is the same reason I don't understand what women want from me. I just don't understand their like species of being. I don't get it.
Warriors, but with the
I don't understand new players anymore. Everything I say is completely inaccurate.
Devil May Cry. It's just that everything that surrounds the game, even after going through this alternative process,
they want you to have hair. That was hurtful and unnecessary.
Does not sell me on it. But before I get too ahead of myself, let's go through the normal leveling process in the game. You will be doing a lot of running around and pressing R, just the same as before. The scenery, the characters, the places, and especially the pace at which you're leveling up and how much you have to go.
The truth hurts. That's toxic. That's toxic. Honestly, it really hit home when Asmund started playing the game and he went to design his warrior and everyone was spamming bald, bald, and he said, this is a fantasy game. We will have hair. Right here. Right here.
And fight enemies really eases you into the game much better than the expansion did. I was genuinely having fun. It took me around 3 to 4 days, playing between 3 and 5 hours to reach level 56 and get my awakening on my new character.
God.
But I genuinely wanted to log on and play every day. It still suffers.
Does your character have hair? No. And he is handsome. Fuck you. Moving on.
From some of those same problems where a lot of the time you're just pressing T and then you're just autopathing and then I'm watching something else on YouTube. But the percentage of time that I was playing the game and engaged while doing so was...
If he was fatter, he would look like... Bro, why am I catching so many strays right now, bro? What the hell's going on?
It's just, I don't know, 10 times more.
Bro,
and
chill
pressing
out,
buttons
man.
in this game feels incredible. So getting to experience
God
that
damn,
combat
bro.
and
Yeah,
to
put the gun down, man.
feel the difference as all of your skills increase and you get more skills and...
I'll run these nuts across your face. Had to be said.
Add them to your rotation, or how those skills start changing and adding more hits to the chain, or have different effects, or their AoE gets larger. All of these things.
Yeah, that was out of line. It's no less true. God. I've lost a lot of weight, okay? I continue to lose weight. If you look at old clips of me, I'm huge. I'm actually huge. In the old clips, I'm huge. I've lost a lot of weight and continue to drop weight. We're going to be huge. By like next year, at like around this time, I'm thinking like Biceptimus. You know what I mean? Like Loki.
Are very, very engaging.
Also had... Shut up! God, you guys are so toxic.
And keeps you hooked on wanting to keep leveling up and reaching the next milestone. Specifically because it is that impactful. Instead of just being numbers, you're actually seeing differences. Your attack speed is going up. You're learning to animation cancel certain things. You're learning how different combos flow together for different situations. It's really good. During this process, I kept thinking I wanted to start another character from the other expansion just to test it out. Because all of the characters look so fun that I would like to explore their combos and see their playstyle. Unfortunately.
Okay, so this addresses a very fundamental issue with the game. The main storyline of Land of the Morning Light is objectively better. However, new players prefer to do the Ancient Stone Chamber because there's more combat, and that's the reason that they play the game. That's actually such a big deal that the developers need to be aware of. You need to include more combat to rope players into playing the game so that they will spend more money, which means more dollars in your quarterly earnings report. Okay? Big true. Big true. And again, this is super easy. Jack up the difficulty of the main storyline bosses so that people actually have to learn the mechanics or they die. No penalty for dying, but like make them learn.
Definitely everything.
Like I think that if they did that, that fighting these swamp nagas would feel like garbage in comparison. Then they would be like, oh yeah, the main story of Land of the Morning Light is objectively better. You have to like learn combos and like look at mechanics and stuff. You know what I mean? This is just running around killing swamp nagas. This is not as entertaining as that might be.
Surrounds the combat is just not up to par. I didn't mention this before, but in the Land of the Morning Light expansion, I had 6 soft locks, where coming out of a cutscene, I could not interact with anything, I could not open the menu, I just had to Alt F4, force close the game, and then reopen it, and things were fine.
There are no bugs with Black Desert Online. None. None whatsoever.
I didn't experience that here, but I did experience a lot of
must be his ISP. That's exactly right. Only features. That's right. That's right.
Or that would auto path me to a different thing. I would find quest objectives that were not really well functioning. During my awakening quest, I failed a boss fight because I ran out of potions. And
he actually hit R so fast. Watched. He's trained like a dog. Watch him do that. Watch him. He's hitting R so quickly. He actually tried to rent a fence from her twice. And before he was like, oh my god, get this annoying crap off my screen. And then he closed the window and went to the next
potions. And
that was like the truest. That was like the truest questing in BDO. It was subtle, but it was like so real for me. Like
to retry that quest was very confusing and apparently soft locked a lot of people 2 years ago when it was first implemented. There's just a lot of jank.
Damn NPCs.
A lot of general jank in the game that doesn't feel as polished as the combat. Running from place to place in this world, and every time I got to smash things with my mace, I was happy. But when you have to stop and talk to people and then start thinking about all of the additional mechanics and life skilling and training horses and 17 other million things, it just got overwhelming because I don't feel very driven to spend so much time to grind so many resources to use them on a gambling system when I'm not really going to be pushing further into newer skills or anything. I'm just going to be...
You should quit.
Increasing my level score.
And I mean that in the best possible way.
It can be easily solved. Lost Ark solves it very well by just giving you very, very cool...
I agree. Lost Ark solves that problem entirely by forcing you to close the game and playing Black Desert. Solved.
Cool boss fights. And you are pushing through because your access to those boss fights that are so cool is gated by your gear progression. In other games like Final Fantasy XIV, the reason that you keep pushing through and doing all of the quests, and well, in that game, it's because the story is really, really good.
Yeah, I was going to say it's because the story's actually good. Yeah, no.
But additionally, all of the endgame content, including all of your...
Imagine if our main storyline was like Final Fantasy level. No one would play any other game ever.
Raids and your boss fights, they're all incredibly fun, and they force you to form parties and join a guild and farm for cosmetics and just things that are fun to do.
Oh, he did all of this and he's not in a guild.
You have to continue gearing and you have to continue playing the game to access that content, and it's challenging and satisfying to complete. If Black Desert Online has content like that, and during both of my entire playthroughs of the new player experience up to my awakening, they never guided me or showed me that these types of things exist and that later on I will be able to play super cool boss fights or dungeons, or what the rewards will be for doing these cool events that they never showed me, then their new player...
Literally... God, if they have dungeons and boss fights, I just wouldn't know about it. There's literally, like, it's everywhere. It's literally ever. It's on his screen.
Their experience is
like,
absolutely
what the fuck, bro? Is this? His UI is off the screen because it's an ultra wide, and he's like complaining about it. Hey, check out our boss feature. Hey, look at this new boss event. Hey, look at the boss feature over here. A new Calamity 7 has been slain. Look at this cool buff you got with this boss feature. Look at the boss feature. Hey, your dark wrists are up.
Garbage. So I'd rather think that they just don't exist.
I love your R2 mug. Yeah, I have one. I have like a BB-8 one. I've got a Death Star one. I've got all kinds of. I've got a Mad Hatter mug. I've got all. It's a different mug every day. I try. Thank you for recognizing it. It's like the little things that I do, and like nobody gets it. But
from what I understand by researching the game, they don't. For many, many years, the only reason to continue grinding up at Endgame was to gear up in order to do PvP, and
that's
I'm not
right.
the type of person that enjoys PvP. From what I see, they have started implementing new things with this
he's getting his ass beat right now.
Introduce newer PvE mechanics that are an incentive to keep grinding at Endgame.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
but
use
if
your
they're
block.
just being implemented now, I doubt that they are as robust as any other game. So the lack of content and the lack of quality in that content needs to be compensated for you as a player if you choose to play this game instead of a different one, exclusively by that combat system, and hopefully by the design of those encounters in the endgame. But again, I'm not an expert, I didn't get there, and the things that I saw through research were quite inconclusive and with a lot of mixed opinions. And
yeah, I mean, it's got some PvE endgame now, so that's for sure.
no matter how you slice it, seems to be very bare bones and a work
Did you borrow the signs from Janice? No, I bought them myself.
in progress. Reaching level 56 required me to grind the last 2 levels because the other alternative was to continue the quest line in either one of the 2 expansions or the Valencia quest line, which from what I understand is quite terrible. So
wait, the Valencia quest line is like good. You know, it gives like good like fail stack rewards and stuff.
instead of
It's also pretty easy. You just speed run it.
boarding a ship and waiting an hour, which I think is what
Oh,
you're
Valencia 2 sucks though, but it's gone now.
supposed to do to get to newer locations, I decided to stay on the mainland where I was and just farm up. And
Yeah, the man's not in a guild. This is why you need to have new players join a guild. He addresses that very well too. I've been saying it forever. New players need to basically be forced into joining a guild, or like strongly encouraged. Get social, you anti-social degenerates. Make friends, losers. Like, holy shit. Bro, like the PvP, like our MMO communities are literally built and die based on people getting involved in the community. Okay? Like, if you don't get them involved in the community, we won't get involved. We are antisocial introverts. I'm sorry. You people are antisocial introverts. I'm one of you guys. If you don't force them to make friends, they're not gonna. You've got to force them into it. Just automatically place them into a new player chat group. Oh, no, don't do that. No. Because that's a recipe for like the most toxic behavior you've ever heard in your life. You know how I know? Because there is a new player chat group, and it's the most toxic chat in the entire game.
that experience was fun. But
Like the guild tab needs to come up right at the start. It needs to just recommend you to join a guild, and then you need to apply to like 2 or 3 guilds, like right off the start, and then they can send you guild invites.
tiring. However, if you are a person that really enjoys putting on a podcast and perfecting a loop and just grinding really hard, this is probably some of the best grinding I've seen in MMOs. And that
That's me!
grinding is fun because the combat is fun, and that's the core of the game.
How to make friends in BDO. I'm stuck on the Upper Sakraya trial part. Join a guild. You need to join a guild. It makes it way more enjoyable when you can sit in Discord with the homies and you can all complain together. Okay? Just don't enhance together. That's how you lose friends.
Because this is undoubtedly the best combat system I've played in an MMO. So
I've played for 2 years and never joined a guild. Put the gun down. Jesus Christ. Why gotta be so aggressive all the time?
I don't want to be too hard on the game, because if you're a person that's looking for a really good combat system and basically nothing else, I think you could find a lot of joy here. Just combat and then some side maintenance. There are other problems with this game, but I'm not that qualified to speak about them, namely the monetization, because I didn't put a penny in, but the game does have quite a number of pop-ups.
Well, you bought the game. At some point, you did buy the game.
Recommending you to buy the in-game currency, which is already a red flag, that you trade money for in-game currency.
Well, that's true. Yeah, you can do that. 100%.
And there are a lot of pay to win or pay to convenience, however you want to call it.
Oh no, Suzanne, he originally picked Megu and decided it was dog shit, so he went and played Succession Nova.
Items available that will speed up your leveling process, and if that is a red flag for you, then, you know, stray away from this one. This one is probably not for you. Maybe go with a different MMO with a subscription service or that doesn't implement monetization.
That's right. BDO doesn't have any subscription services at all. None whatsoever. Okay? I just want you guys to be aware that there are no subscription services in this game. It is very much so buy to play. Okay? Yeah. Buy to play. Don't even worry about that for even a second.
Same way. It does have all of the MMO mechanics that you might expect. It has a trading market. It has that PvP. It has life skilling. But everything here that shines is about
pet abuse. They don't need food. We're fine. It's okay. They like it this way. They're on this awesome diet. So they don't eat anything. And then after a while, they just start losing weight.
killing things. If you like that, if you like the flashy combat, if you check out all of the classes...
Similar to children. Holy shit, that got dark pretty quick.
Like, oh, that looks amazing. Give it a try. You never know if it's going to be for you, but this is not for me. I had a blast playing my Nova and grinding stuff, and I got what I wanted out of that. I would love...
Yeah, so he's having a blast playing Nova, and that's amazing. He also has a min boob slider, so, you know, take that for what it's worth.
For this to all be surrounded by a different system, since it's not there, I don't know, maybe I'll come back to the game at some point and give it a shot, but I don't think that's going to be for now. But I did really enjoy jumping into a completely new game and trying to give a good evaluation of how the new player
he did do a good evaluation.
And if it's good at hooking you and how far it takes you. So I think I'm going to be making more videos in this style. They require quite a lot of time. I ended up putting around 37 hours of playtime to make this video, and all of that was recorded. Editing it while having a full-time job is really hard, but I really...
Bro, I respect that fucking hustle. Dude, I respect that hustle. Believe me, man. I know. I get it.
I really like doing it, so I'm going to do it again. I don't know.
Holy shit, that's me too. You worked an 85-hour work week this week, Blue. Monday comes around, I'll fucking do it again.
With what game? Because I know MapleStory is the game I played when I was very young, and that is very different now. And I know Guild Wars is coming out with a new expansion. But if you have any recommendation for me, maybe even World of Warcraft, go ahead and leave it down in the comments. And if you want to see another video like this in the future, make sure to subscribe. This is a really good video. You guys need to go interact with this video. This only got 3,000 views. This is probably the best new player experience. The best take I have ever seen. Like, because he did it right? Like, he didn't ruin his perception of the game by looking at other stuff, right? By doing a bunch of research and stuff. He gave a raw take of a new player, and it really did show us, like, fundamentally what is wrong with our new player experience. The developers need to watch that. Like, hands down. They've got to see that. That's crazy. Yeah. Make sure you guys go give him a subscribe and a like there.